Welcome to the Empowered Spirit Show. This is your host, Terri Ann Heiman. I'll explore the connection to the human spirit in a way that helps to navigate your life, including crisis. I am passionate about helping you to open up to your intuition and the metaphysical world of spirit to find your confidence in your own inner guidance. Take a pause, be inspired, learn ways to show up focused, centered, and more dynamic in your everyday life.
Welcome back to the Empowered Spirit Show. Thank you so much for tuning in and joining me today. This episode is being sponsored by Ritual and Shelter. Are you looking for a magical place to shop and hold space? Check out Ritual and Shelter online or in Homewood, Alabama. Browse through their bookshelves covering topics such as energy healing, crystal healing, Reiki, chakras, auras, the Akashic Records, shadow work, astrology, and earth-based healing. You can also find herbal teas and tinctures alongside their crystals and oils to help establish a mindful mindset and fluid ambience before meditation, ritual work, and reflection. Ritual and Shelter is dedicated to providing one-on-one, in-depth conversations with customers to help them find the most efficient healing methods and resources that match their unique interest and energy. They offer tarot sessions, Reiki, sound bowl, and crystal healing, and now they are offering witch consultations. Visit ritualshelter.com to book an appointment and bring peace back to the body, mind, and spirit. You can also find them on Instagram at Ritual Shelter Shop, as well as Pinterest at Ritual Plus Shelter. So as this podcast goes to air, we find ourselves in June. We are at the very last phase of the spring season. The light of the moon is increasing. The days are getting longer. We are at the height of the season, and we're opening up to so much, recognizing our abundance, our growth, maybe pulling a few weeds, right? But really recognizing all that we've planted and what is unveiling and unfolding for our year ahead. We are able now to step forward a little bit more on this great wheel of life as we recognize our path and what we are really choosing to focus in on. This whole year opens up. Summer is soon coming around the corner, and that's where we get to relax and enjoy all the planting that we've done, allow ourselves to grow. I always talk about the wild woman of summer coming forward because it is a time to get outside, to feel the patience of all that growth. We can't sit there and go grow, grow, grow. We can, but that can be frustrating. But it is a time to get outside, shed a few layers, and open up to finding that fun and that joy that will help you to move through this transition and to really appreciate all the work that you've been doing. The divine feminine comes forward in the summer, reminding us of all that growth and the beauty and the wisdom that we can bring forward. It is a time, as I call it, to shape shift your body, mind, and spirit. Get outside. I know this time of year, I always have a little struggles like, oh, my arms, my body, and I'm a little bit of what, I'd call an emotional eater. And so it is a time for me to look at, okay, well, what's underneath it? What is stopping me? Where am I processing emotions in places that maybe I don't need to be, like stuffing them down, like with food, like other addictions, right? When we're not dealing with our emotions, we're generally looking out there for something else. Maybe for you, it's a little too much wine at night, or maybe it's shopping all the time, or Netflix binging. We all have these ways of not dealing with what's going on. And that element of summer does come forward, the idea of water and our emotions. So what are you working with? What is stopping you from processing your emotions, shedding a few layers, getting outside, and shaping up? It is this time of year that we can look at it and have a little bit more freedom with how we choose to look at ourselves and our life. So how can you shapeshift your life? What are those emotions that tend to lead you towards those addictions that you're going on? We all have them. Maybe you're addicted to your mind and all those thoughts that you tell yourself because of your emotions. But when we can even just get outside and be with Mother Earth, we can understand more and more about what is going on. And summer is that time to shed those layers. Many times we've done all the work in the spring, we've planted all those seasons, and now here comes the summer, and then we start doubting ourselves, We start saying, oh, I don't know if I can really do this. And so that's where some of that emotional energy is coming from, that's churning the mind, that's doing the listening, that then gets you to where you're not moving forward. So finding the ability right now to work with this transition, very important that we understand our idea of transitions. I talked a little bit about this last week and talking about midwifing the soul, caring for the soul, because it's not just about the end of life, but it's all those transitions. Even those small transitions helps us to understand the bigger transitions of our lives. And so when we can move through the seasons and understand where we are on this great wheel, it does help us to be in alignment with our path, to really hold those agreements. We promise ourselves, we make these vows, we understand our path somewhat, and then we find ourselves in this state of confusion. And lots of times it is our emotional body that gets in our way. But when we allow ourselves to recognize this, I know for me, when I embrace the idea that, yeah, I am an emotional eater, it allows me to love myself even greater. I can breathe through it. I can ask myself the questions. What am I avoiding? What is it I really need? I know I use tapping a lot. It helps me to get out of it. It helps me to understand so that I can come back into alignment, continue my path. Lots of times the seeds that we plant in the spring are new things. They make us raw. Can I really do this? Is this really me? Who am I pretending to be? And so when we can be in that alignment with our emotions and how we're showing up, it will help us to bring that forward and to live that path with clarity and understanding and more empowerment for your energy right now. So even though our seasonal transition may not be that big deal, the thing is, when we change seasons, it is. With summer, there's a whole lot of things going on. We have a whole nother diet we can open up to. We can change to more some of that cooling foods and the way that we process energy. We can have the time to get outside more. The days have more light in them. There is fun outside. And so the seasonal transitions is a great way to understand more and more about how you can move through change. The body doesn't really like change, so we have to work with it no matter how much we want to. So when we learn to work with our transitions, it helps us to show up for those bigger transitions, the life, the death, the job change, the family change. All of this is a way in which we can work with the soul and care for ourselves as we move along the path. I do have some openings in my private mentoring Empowered Spirit program. And if you want to learn how you can work with your soul, open up, build a spiritual practice, schedule a call with me, and let's talk about what that next step forward is for you. I'll be sure to put the links in the show notes to schedule a call with me. So in today's episode, my guest is Yael Eni, who is the developer of the Karmic Constellation. Her latest book, Karma Healing, Unblock Your Life on the Soul Level, helps us to understand our soul energy. And in this episode, we talk about karma, family constellations, soul contracts, vows we make, and how working with our soul can help us in our present life. Before we begin, let's take a moment to pause and center and set some intentions for where we are right now. So wherever you are, if you can, close your eyes. Take a nice deep inhale, breathing up the spine. And as you exhale, bring all of the breath all the way down, slowing down. Inhale, expanding the breath up the body. And as you exhale, call all your energy into you. Calling in the sacred elements, the fire, the air, the earth, the water. Feeling that flow of energy moving all the way through you. Inhale, expanding the breath up the body. And as you exhale, dropping right into your heart, right into the deepest part of your heart. Feel that connection, your spirit and the greater spirit, God, Creator. Know that you are loved, guided, protected. Feeling all this energy coming in around us as we go to set this space and honor this great wheel of life. Notice for you where you are right now in this late energy of spring, getting ready to transition into summer where I am. Notice all that you've planted. Notice your energy as you move forward. Notice what this transition is for you. And we call in all the directions to help guide us through to the east, the south, the west, and the north, above us, below us, right into that very center of your heart, setting an intention to help guide you through right into that new season. See and hear and feel and know this intention for you. And allow those elevated emotions to radiate out all around you, setting that energy right from the heart. Take another deep inhale and exhale. Feel the heart opened. Feel the illumination of your third eye. And as you're ready, one more deep inhale and exhale. Bring in the awareness back. Blinking the eyes open. Coming back. Yael Eni is a dedicated healer, teacher, and author with over 20 years of experience. She developed Karmic Constellation, an innovative healing method that allows people to access past life memories and soul records directly through the body without the need for hypnotic regression. By uncovering the origins of deep-seated traumas and behavioral patterns in past choices, her clients can finally release old vows, contracts, and karma entanglements, freeing themselves to live with greater clarity and purpose. Integrating psychology and spirituality, Yael empowers people to connect with their infinite soul potential. Her deep understanding of systemic dynamics and multi-generational influences drawn from her own background in family counseling and constellation work is what has helped her and allows her to guide individuals in healing from frozen aspects of themselves. Through this process, they can transform destructive patterns into new possibilities and create profound shifts in their lives. Yael brings a wealth of healing wisdom to her workshops and private sessions, facilitating deep transformation on both spiritual and human levels. Her unique approach has helped people worldwide reconnect with the forgotten aspects of their soul's journey. She is the author of The Alchemy of Parenthood, published in Hebrew, and Where Does God Live?, a children's book translated in English and available on Amazon. So let us welcome Yael to the show. Welcome, Yael.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yes, I'm very excited to talk about your work and your new book, Karma Healing, Unblock Your Life on the Soul Level. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah, what led you to writing this book right now?
Actually, my spiritual guides, they told me, I think 4 years ago, you need to write another book. I already wrote one in Hebrew, and I was like, no, I don't want to write another book. Like the first one I wrote, that was enough. They said, no, you already write post and everything, so it will be easy. They really tricked me and fooled me. It wasn't so easy, but it was a wonderful journey. And yeah, eventually, I when I started, I never thought it would be this book. And I really liked the process of how it led to be about karma healing work.
Yeah. It's never as easy as it seems, right? Yeah. But it is good to bring this work out. I'd like to start and just ask you, what is your idea of karma? Let's start there.
I think there are lots of way to look at karma. First, it's not a punishment and it's not a bitch. It's like it can be a good one also. But I'm more at it's like two things. It's like accumulated energy of experience from other lifetime or even sometimes transgenerational stuff that we carry on with us in order to either heal or maybe they're stuck in us. Uh, this is one way of looking at it, and the other is we want to experience. So if in previous lifetime we hurt someone, we might want to experience in this lifetime how it is to be hurt the same way because the soul is here to experience to grow, and we need to see it's not even the two sides of the coin because it's not a coin. We have like, for me, I call it a cubic box. So we have all kinds of sides. Um, so we can see, yeah, every experience, we have multiple ways to experience that.
Yeah, gain a different perspective, a broader perspective. And I like that you say, you know what, it's not a beach and it's not bad, but I think that's a really important because we as humans want to judge it. But we can recognize, it's neither good or bad. These are just experiences that we're here to learn. I think it helps a lot. And I think working in the higher realms, like the Akashic Records, can help us to do that, take away some of that judgment. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, you blend this with the idea of family constellations. Let's talk a little bit about that.
So when I studied family constellation have three major stuff within it. One is looking at everything as a system. So it's not just me and my life. I have my parents, I have like a whole family behind me that might be the one that actually influence the way I act. So there is a system. And the second thing is about the phenomena world. So the world that people represent or the thing that happened in the clinic, they tell me something about the experience. And the third and probably the most important is the act of representing. So people come to represent for you your family system. And I was wondering, can people come and represent for others their soul system? And then the combination between the spiritual realm and family system came together.
So go a little further and explain soul system.
So when we speak, there are actually many systems in the soul. Like one is the karma, or what we speak about karmic balance. But there are also soul contracts and soul lessons and vows or all kinds of energy from previous lifetime that are actually create our life or manipulate our life, actually. So there are in our subconscious soul, they are unknown, but we actually live our life as if we are in the past. And we have no idea that we're doing that. So like there is a huge system that manage our life, and we have no idea that it happens.
Yeah. You have a very interesting perspective on soul contracts because I do a lot of work with soul contracts as well. Share that a little bit with us about the contracts we made and do we have to keep them? Can we change them? How do you see that and how do you work with that?
So there are some contracts that we cannot let go. Parent-child contract, like all blood relationship, we cannot let go, but we can bring more ease. Or like if they're really
I
dense,
agree.
we can light them. Okay. And I will say that like soul contract is you and me met in heaven or in the soul realm and say, who do you want to come down together to do stuff together? And that stuff together might not be happy. Like, oh, I'm gonna abuse you. Okay, I need to grow up from this abuse. Like probably that was the conversation between me and my dad. Um, so it's a soul agreement that in a way for the soul, it's for the soul beneficial for develop and progress. As a human, we feel awful. So there is a huge gap between the soul perspective and the human perspective. Like, I never as a child said, "Ooh, I'm suffering from my dad. Yay, that's gonna help me 20, 30 years ago," which did because it brought me to the place I am. But no one said, "Yay." But my soul probably sat outside, sat like somewhere and said, "Yeah, she's doing the work. They are doing the work. Good contract." So this is how I see soul contract. We can illuminate or clean or clear soul contract with people that we don't have a blood related issue with them. Um, maybe not with partner that we have children, but anything that is not in the family, we can change and clear the soul agreement between them.
Yeah. And we can shift it and not have that same animation. I totally agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, when you talk about vows, how does that differ?
So, soul agreement or contract is between two people. Yeah, me and you, we meet, we say, let's do something together. Vows are mainly things that people are vowing to themselves, like, I will never get pregnant, I will never have children. So there are promises we made to ourselves in previous lifetime. The more we are doing it with like emotional energy and thoughts, the more we got caught in the vows, and they will, I say, hunt us to other lifetime and will create our life. So if in a different lifetime I say like I would never marry because I had this awful husband, or maybe because I lost my husband. I had this session once. She lost she was a man in previous lifetime, but she lost her wife and her child. And like in this lifetime, she was like, I would never get married. She said then I would never get married, and now she's looking for someone, and she doesn't even know. But this promise she made to herself, like go with her, like between life after life after life, until she will release this vow that
Yeah.
she didn't even made, but like her past life made.
Yeah, I agree. And I call them like they create imprints in this lifetime. So then something gets triggered and we're not aware of it until we start doing some of the deeper soul work, which to me why it's so valuable to do this work. When we
Yeah.
can't go forward in life, we keep coming up on the same stumble or keep repeating patterns. That's a clue to start looking at some of this. So I totally agree with you. I know in this lifetime I made a big vow, and sometimes I wonder, like, oh, I wonder how that's going to come back. But yet, just living in the present and working my work is part of what we do with those kind of promises or vows that we do make. But sometimes, a lot of times, I would say, at the end of life, when we don't realize it, or we're struggling, or we're trying to get out of something, I think sometimes that's when those vows come. And it's not like we mean to intentionally hurt ourselves or whatever, but sometimes it's like in desperation just to clear what we're going through. So sometimes we're not aware of it. And I agree with you what you say in the book. It's like we don't come back here and say, okay, I'm going to go search out, an abusive husband so I can do this lesson. But this may be where we find ourselves. So I totally agree with what you're saying. Yeah, for sure. You give us so many great examples in the book, and this is what you're talking about all the way through different ways to understand it. What is karma? How does it show up for you? How did you put all the book together? What was your process in getting all this information and all your stories?
To be honest, I teach Karmic Constellation. This is the method I have developed. And the book is more or less like what I am teaching, even in the order that I'm teaching, because we need to understand our soul connection or our connection with our soul in order to understand soul contract and soul lessons. So it's like a step by step about on the soul journey that someone can really take and go out to their own soul journey. So the book is actually written the way I teach in order to really like unfold the soul realm, so it will be easy to understand it.
Yeah, I think you did a great job, and especially including examples. Because I think we're all interested. Well, what does she mean? And then you give this great example. And I think that's very helpful because then we have ways to relate. Now, how did your own personal family energy come into leading you to this work? You talk a little bit about that in the book as well.
Yeah, so it's really interesting because I was raised in a very non-religious, non-spiritual community. Um, so like 25 years ago, if you tell me this is what I'm gonna do, I was like laughing, bursting out of laugh, and it would take me a long time to calm down. It's like it wasn't even my world. But what led me to this world was actually a career, forgot the word. 1 second. A career crisis. Like I couldn't find myself. I didn't like what I was doing, I didn't want what I was planning to do. And like when you have a total breakdown, then you can start building up. And many times when you're building yourself up or back again, there are new things that come. And this is how the spiritual world came into my life, actually. And it did major shifts in my life that the traditional therapy didn't made. So that was like big wow for me, and I dedicated my life to this path in the last 20 years.
Yeah, it is a fascinating world once we can open up to it. And especially when we start to see our own energy, our own path shift. I've had several dark night of the soul, so I totally get it, right? And you find yourself wandering and lost, and it takes a lot. And for me, it was a huge experience. Most recently, I guess a couple of years now, that led me back to me because I was like all over the place. What am I doing? I had a near-death like experience and my soul had fragmented and the world shut down with COVID. And took a while, but when we can go in deeper to your soul, which is a lot of what you're talking about, and get that guidance to help us understand, that's where a lot of healing comes forward. And
Yeah.
I so appreciate the way you put this together. And I really haven't seen anybody do this in terms of putting the family constellation system together with this idea and how we can look forward. So I really applaud you for putting that out there. Yeah. So, what are your hopes for this with the book? What are you hoping that people will get out of it?
Healing. Um, Two things actually. Change the perspective of karma because, people come to me and say, "Oh, I have a karmic story to tell you," and it's all about bad things. Like no one comes and say, "Oh, I met the love of my life. It's a karmic story." No, like if we learn that karma is either neither good or bad or both, all the good things are also, and we need to appreciate them, and they them himself can balance the way we look at life. So if this book will bring people the understanding that karma is for our benefit, everything that happened to us, it's in order that we can grow, then I think we will be less attached to suffering. And I know from others that read the book that it brought them a lot of comforting to their life and healing. Like, when you shift perspective, you are already in the healing path. So that is my biggest wish for this book, for people that will read this book.
Yeah. So you do offer your techniques in a little different manner. A lot of people, like especially I work with, like go into the records and we go their past, future, or present, right? And so we look at all that. But you also talk about it's not necessarily go like through, regressive past life. So how do you work with people?
So when you work representational, you don't need to do regression. So we represent, there are two ways to represent. One, a person can represent for himself. Like I'm looking at your table and you have those like all kinds of crystals. So each crystal can represent, one can represent past life me. Let's say the bonsai can represent my soul contract with my dad. Another crystal can represent my dad. And then I can put my hand on each crystal or the bonsai and physically notice what happens in my body. So it's a very experiential method. And now when I put my hand on the crystal that represent my dad, let's say, what comes up in my body? How do I feel? How do I sense? What happens to me? And what happened when I put it on the soul contract? What shifts? And then by understanding physically the relationship and like the soul contract giving you insight or might bring you to a different lifetime, that something happened there, that this is why we choose to come here together, and then you can clear it. But it's all like using your eyesight, using the physical realm, like feeling and sensations and emotions, and doing a movement within it. And the movement within the physical realm actually do a movement in life itself. The other way of working is instead of object, we can bring people. Like you can represent my soul contract with my dad, and someone else can represent my dad, and someone can represent my soul. And then I hear everyone what they speak to each other and the relationship with each other, and I can do a movement within it. So it's like everyone are with eyes wide open, and it's more about feeling and sensing and shifting the energy because you feel and sense, and less of regression and seeing.
Interesting. Yeah, the feeling and sense. Yeah, well, definitely my dad with the bonsai. He was definitely a little bonsai and tree and plant. And the crystals for me are Lumarian. In fact, your background looks very Lumarian. I was getting lost and looking at that with you in the front there. But I so agree with what you're saying and how we can understand more and more. And it's definitely sensations. The body remembers. It holds a lot of that energy within you. We just have to go in, slow the mind down, right? And take that time for it. Yeah. So how fascinating that you're bringing this forward and helping people to step up and to do that healing. So needed right now, because as we just stuff it down and we don't look at what's going on, we just create more and more and more. But
Yeah.
as we can free our soul, so much greater things can come forward in our path in this lifetime and others as well, all the way back to the lineage. The work that we do is goes all the way back. It helps all of our lineages forward and back. Yeah. You have a lovely testimonial from Stephen Farmer. He's been on the show. How do you know Stephen?
Oh, that's so funny. So I read his book, Ancestral Healing, and I was so fascinated because he has tools like he learned somatic experiencing, I learned somatic experiencing, he learned family constellation or no family constellation. I teach family constellation, and actually I approached him, I think COVID time, and I said, "Do you want to do a workshop together?" And he was very busy and I said, "Okay, not now." And then when I needed people to recommend, I just approached him. I actually never, I didn't knew that he's
Hmm.
very famous until one of my colleagues said, "Oh, you have Stephen Farmer. It's like he's very famous." And wow, I didn't know. I will say he's a very humble man. Like he said immediately, yes, read my book. For me, it's a very big honor.
He was super nice. I had him on for his animal spirit guides, and we had so much so many fun conversations. And I remember talking about naming our cars. He was so fun. And then I had the most incredible dream right after that, and now my car has a name, which is really funny. But yeah, how awesome. It's so helpful when we can reach out to people, right? And help us with that along the path. But he is very fascinating. I really did appreciate that conversation as well. So it's such a great book. And you bring, again, like I said, ways to look at your own life, exercises, many exercises through the book so you can take it
Yeah.
one at a time. And again, I think the stories that when we hear other people's stories, it helps us to relate. And many times it makes us feel like, well, maybe I'm not so crazy, right? Like, okay, I can understand more and more of what this is coming from, right?
Yeah.
And it is a daily way to help us presence our energy and get a greater perspective, as you've said, for sure. Yeah. So where can people find your book? Are you teaching? What is your work doing right now?
So I teach. I actually all the time I open classes online on Zoom. I practically live on Zoom. So you can find me in my website www.yaeleini, like my name, yaeleini.com. So all my trainings and workshops are there, and the book is actually, you can find it there. It's also on Amazon and all the big bookstores, and also Audible. So this is really great. Like for me, I'm more of a listening reader. So if someone like that, like yes, it's on all
That's great
formats.
to know. Yeah,
Yes.
and a shout out to Inner Traditions for publishing it. They're awesome to bring all this work forward all the time. So grateful for them as well. Yeah. So as we go to close, I'd like to give our listeners just a little uplifting message on how you feel that working through karma healing and unblocking your life on the soul level can help to empower the spirit right now.
You know, our soul, she came in a purpose. And the more we are aligned with our soul, the more we are aligned with our purpose or can change the purpose. So when you read the book, you get more aligned with your soul and your path become clearer. And I think that is uplifting the spirit, but also uplifting the human. And we really need in those days to be more and more connected to our soul. It just makes the path more aligned and in a way also more easy.
Clarity, alignment, ease. I so agree. It can help uplift the spirit and just help you with your path.
Yeah.
Really can. And so agree about being in that connection with the soul all the time. Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you for joining us today. Good luck with your work to your spirit.
Thank you.
Namaste.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes. Clarity, ease, so needed right now. Connecting with your soul can help you to find more depth and meaning to your life. Be sure to check out Yael's work. I'll include the links in the show notes to all of her work and to her book. And if you are struggling and want to create a spiritual path and really get in and shapeshift your life as we move through these transitions, schedule a complimentary spiritual upgrade breakthrough call with me, and let's talk about what that next step forward is for you. Thank you so much for listening. Be sure to share this with someone that could benefit from understanding more about their soul, and leave me a review. It helps the podcast to be found. I am your host, Terri Ann Heiman. To your spirit, namaste.